and everyone in Sweden. So I'm going to talk for 20 minutes or so around Ivanti and how we view service management both now and in the future. So you have had a short introduction from Frederick, I know, but well, you can see my video anyway, so I don't know quite why I put a picture of myself there as well. But I look after the EXM. That's an acronym we use in Ivanti, experience management, but it encompasses service management, ITAM, and areas such as environment management and the like. I'm based in Scotland, not London, which I think Frederick maybe said earlier, but I like the outdoors. I know that Hans Rudevelt, you're on. One day I will do the cycle around Vattenrund and around in the middle of Sweden. It always has appealed to me. But that's me, and as you know, I am with Ivanti. So yeah, Ivanti is, it's grown. I've been with the company over 20 years now, a long time, and we've been in the market over 35 years. We have grown considerably. We are around about 3,500 people now, global revenues over $1 billion, and a very, very strong focus on service management as well as the other areas such as security and endpoint management. But we are recognized in that field. Gartner recognizes as a leader in their Magic Quadrant, and Forrester as a leader in the Wave. So yeah, very positive. And the reason I've stayed with the business so long is I can see a strong future, and our strength within service management and how it goes across into the different areas and not just being a siloed instance is very positive. So from a perspective of what we're going to talk about today, it's how we can provide better experiences for employees. I think always that's the focus with service management, both now and in the future, is how we can allow employees to be more productive. We maybe work in IT, we provide a service, but ultimately it's not what IT is doing, it's what the business is doing and how well these individuals who are working in our organization can be productive, can be secure, and just allow them to do the work that they're paid to do. But there's a big change. There's change in that in the last 2 years with COVID, we've seen that there's growing pressure on how we can provide an optimum service delivery model, while also, as it says there, providing amazing employee experiences. The simple fact is, more of us are working from home, more of us are working remotely. We see that now. I'm sitting in my home office in Scotland. Frederick and the team are in their office outside Gothenburg, and we're all sitting there arguably remote. And it's not going to change. People will start going back to the office. I know that on a Monday and Wednesday, a lot of our team are going back in, but they're still remote working. Linked to that, there's obviously a big change in budgets. A lot of our customers are saying that budgets and resources are tighter than ever. So how can we manage that? And another key area is the consumerization of IT caused by the pandemic, and that employees now expect 24/7 access to modern IT experiences on multiple devices, same as they have in their personal lives. What they experience on their work computer, they want to experience, they want to have that as like they have the experiencing on their home computer or their home phones and so forth, mobiles. So, as I said, there's been a change through some of the stats that we've seen. There's been a huge increase in the number of personal devices used for work, 55% we're seeing. These are sort of insights from Gartner, from their 2021 Digital Worker Experience Survey. And there's also linked to that being a decrease in productivity due to connectivity issues. And that's often because maybe remote workers don't always have maybe the most stable internet or so forth. And again, how do we manage these individuals? And how do we allow them, as I said before, to be productive? Now, we have, and a lot of you are, your organizations have service desks. And you have them there to be able to provide a service. But what's happening again, and it's probably increasing, is how many people are actually using the service desk. And I don't know if you know this stat. Sometimes it's easier to ask this when we're all in a room together. But on average, percentage of incidents not reported to the service desk, is quite high. Maybe some people think it's 10, 20%. in reality, it's been deemed, Gartner again, that 50%, of issues don't get logged. Huge number. And some other stats that we're seeing, and again, this addresses maybe how we are seeing service management evolve. We talk a lot about self-service and knowledge base and virtual service agents and chatbots, but interestingly, quite a low percentage of individuals actually want to use these tools and actually access information themselves. So instead, many people, still want to phone IT support rather than going to self-service. A huge proportion also, want to just go and ask a coworker, phone somebody else up and say, Bob, you work with me, have you encountered this? Or many people, want to go off and use the internet. So a lot of this comes down to how quickly can we get issues resolved. So, how do we address this? Because we're saying that, again, some of these stats again repeated, is it stacked against a great employee experience? I'm going to paint a picture now of a particular story. This is one of my team. She's based down in Sydney, and she was explaining to me how her son, her 14-year-old son, came into her office, her home office, and said, "Oh, Mum, I really need to print this document off for school, and I can't." And then, she's trying to work out why. And it was all related to the recent Microsoft Print School vulnerability. And she just wasn't able to do it. So she spent, quite a lot of time on the internet trying to diagnose the issue, wasted time with self-diagnosing, giving up. And the interesting thing is, and she made a very valid point I hadn't really thought about before, it's not necessarily how good things like self-service is, or how good your chat interface is, or how good, how quickly you can respond to incidents when they're logged. People's experience and vision of IT is the desktop they're looking at. So right now I'm looking at my laptop, and that is, as far as I'm concerned, IT. How quickly the applications load, how quickly I can, access into tools like Salesforce or whatever, Domo, or these tools I have. If they're slow, I just think IT is the problem. And I'm maybe wrong, I probably am wrong, because again, there's might be issues, as I said before, perhaps with how good my internet is, etc. But a lot of the times, and Penny in Sydney was, she tried to solve this problem herself. So, when she did get through to IT, the vulnerability, they explained that, they'd have identified and secured, and they gave her the feedback, and so the incident was resolved, and as far as they're concerned, the SLA achieved. So from the employee perspective, they think, okay, great, that individual ticket has been responded to quite well, but her opinion of IT through our whole process, and her opinion of how productive she could be, was very, very low. So how could it be something slightly different? How can it be so that maybe you go into levels of automation? And we're getting better at this internally. Any organization, you can certain areas you think, okay, where can we improve? And we've made improvements here, and going into things like automation. So, in this instance, it's you could have, maybe a print spool of vulnerabilities detected, and then comes back to her and says, send me more information about it, or send me a Teams message when I can print again, or ignore and take no further action. But you're having that sort of automated communication to help improve the perception, but moreover, help her be productive in her work. And it goes into that, how that level of communication, how you can have automation to assist with that. So another scenario was, I recently needed to access a particular application, and it's called Domo. You might be familiar with it. It's a bit like Power BI. And so I phoned up our sales ops person and said, listen, I don't have access to Domo. And Elaine said, well, log a ticket. And I think, okay, I will. So I went into the service management system, logged a ticket, and then thinking, how long is this going to take before somebody in the US, 8 hours behind me, is going to actually get my account set up, and so I can access the system. I logged in, logged it, and within a minute, I had an email back with my access granted. That whole process had been automated. And I think that's where a lot of it's going, is going into that level of automation, so that I get things done quickly when I need to, and we don't have to be reactive and doing things at the back end. And that's the key thing, is how do we address it? Within the world now, we've got this everywhere workplace where people are dotted about everywhere remotely. Yesterday I had a cracked windscreen, so I had to drive 45 minutes to a neighboring town. I then sat in a hotel and was able to attend a work webinar and then make phone calls and emails because my laptop was connected to my phone on 5G. So, I was productive again for 2 hours, even though I was away from my office and secure and so forth. So it is this, this key world now of how do we get better outcomes. And so, what we're seeing from a service management perspective is that we need to create better experiences. We need to, improve the responsiveness and be more proactive, optimize the costs and resources, and, increase the risk visibility. Rather than dwell on this slide because of time, this one is the one I'm always very keen to sort of focus on, and it's this whole concept of shift left. Historically, and even now in many instances in the service management world, we have incidents coming in. It might come in by phone, it might come in by email, and the first line individual picks that up. They try and fix it, and moreover, these days they are able to fix it with the tools available. But there's still issues have to go on to second line or third line specialists to be able to spend time trying to find a resolution. Now, what's happening more and more, what we're seeing is how can it move into that automated state? How can we start fixing things before the problem is even evident to the end user? And this is, I think, the really exciting piece, because it's that goal of moving to sort of negative resolution and financial impact, because the issue is detected and solved before any humans, end users or IT analysts have to get involved. So costs are lower, time to resolution is lower, people are productive, and the business is happy. And again, linked to this, it's from a people perspective, it's how the sort of quality piece can improve and the experience can improve. And from here, there's a direct correlation to the employee. We like to think this in terms of the employee experience curve, from the traditional help desk going through this, what we call the omni-channel experience, into hyper automation. And I'll give you a feel for how these different elements fit together and where we're seeing the shift. At the one side, you've got the traditional help desk. That's the lowest end of the experience cycle. It's a traditional approach. The employee often has to wait quite a time to get resolution. There's little or no automation involved, and the analyst often researching, resolving the issue manually. It's ITIL aligned, which is great, but the employee experience is often deprecated. The sort of next side is within the omni-channel experience, and within here, as we move up the curve, the experience quality starts to improve, and the end user can interact with support from different channels they prefer, whether it's self-service knowledge, whether it's submitting via phone. But again, it's irrelevant how they start the process off. They're getting a better interaction with the IT environment. And the employee embraces it because they're getting automation working in there and so forth. And that was the example with me with my access to the Domo system. But the last state, the ultimate state of experience, is when we go into this hyper automation, where we have this fully proactive resolution with predictive abilities coming in. And this is the sort of area that we're already working in. Then the experience is very, very strong. And to give you some examples of this, firstly, within the omni-channel piece, the employee maybe experiences a problem at the left. They create a ticket through their channel of choice. That automation is triggered by the ticket, and the support team gets the contextual details and recommendations. So that's the key thing, is where the actual system with AI and machine learning can come in and make recommendations. And then there's maybe an interaction via Teams, if that's maybe the end user's favorite process, and we then get through to the actual resolution and the ticket's closed. But it is seamless, and there's this whole piece where there are recommendations and AI in the mix to help reduce analyst effort and improve resolution time. And then from a hyper automation perspective, it goes a step further, where bots, not my favorite word, but the AI piece can detect issues affecting performance. Maybe it's an application page load time, as it says there, and then the policies can start kicking in determine maybe the optimal browser for application. Is the browser compliant with policy? Yes, it is. It clears the cache, it logs an incident, and the user continues to work in the application now with increased browser speed. But things like that can happen dynamically. Other scenarios could be, the page file or the hard disk space is being reduced. Can bots recognize that and come in and delete temporary files and so forth? But there's a lot of different examples of where we can kick in with this hyper automation. And what it leads us to is this whole area of being able to go into self-healing. And that's what we're seeing both now and continuing to evolve into the future. How can we, provide this predictive and an automated approach to fixing things, this whole shift left mantra before they happen, going into areas of self-secure and self-service. Now, what I'm going to finish on is where we're seeing something going into the future. I'm going to caveat this, it is not current in our product, although will be this year. And again, I just wanted to try and highlight, some of the things that we're innovating with from a futurist perspective. And it's what we call digital experience management. And it really is the convergence of maybe 3 different areas that we're working in, which is, experience management, so my world of service management, ITAM, and so forth, and then into the cybersecurity piece and unified endpoint management. And it looks at aggregating data. So we start getting a picture of the experience being faced by the end user. And then from there, we can help to provide a better service out to them. And what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to touch on a small recording to sort of finish off on my perspective, which brings this to life. So here we go. It's 5 minutes, but it's, I think, really, really interesting.
So we'll start this demo here in the IT service desk. And I'm logged in as an IT analyst. My whole objective is to understand a user's issue and try to resolve it as quickly as possible. Here in this view, I have a number of issues that I need to get to, some that are in progress and some that are completed. But you can also see that I have a new data point that I can use to determine what the experience for this user has been with their technology and how to improve it. I can see here that this user has a new digital experience score. Yellow means that there's probably a caution there. And I can also now see that the user's experience has degraded over the last week. So it's gotten slightly worse, and we want to use this as a way to be able to improve the digital experience for this user. So let's drill into this. Here in Ivanti Neuron's workspace, I can see the user as well as what their digital experience is. Ivanti, we have data across devices, across security, across service management and sentiment that we can use to analyze and build up a holistic experience score for the user. So here I can see right off the bat that the issue for this user's experience has been around the devices, but I can also see what the indicators are for security, what they are for application experience, as well as the sentiment, the feedback that users provided around their overall experience. If a patch was missing, for example, this experience score would give us that indication that we could use then to manage the security for that user. So here we can see the issue is around the device. We'll look closer at that and see that, as typical in organizations, this user has more than one device. And this will drill into the device that has the issue, the specific critical issues of that device that's creating a poor experience for the user, and more importantly, be able to recommend automation to be able to resolve these issues and improve that experience. So here we can see recommended bots from Ivanti Neurons for Healing. I can run that automation, those bots, to be able to automatically resolve issues. We can see it's had an impact to the device storage as well as the user experience. We've seen that improve just with the automation. In addition, all of this will be added to a device and user timeline. in which we can see where experience for this user and this device has degraded, or maybe it's improved, or like today, it's improved because we've been able to leverage automation to resolve the issue in a quicker way. So all of this wraps up into a digital experience score in which we can first analyze and then leverage automation to improve that experience. Going back to the service desk now here, this ticket has been automatically resolved. It's in the completed state. We can see that the digital experience score has been improved, much quicker time to resolution for the end user, and a better overall experience for them. Now let's shift gears slightly here and look at this from a CIO's perspective. Now, as mentioned, it's extremely important for CIOs to understand the digital experience that they have in their organization. CIOs or digital experience leaders need to understand what that experience is and then be able to analyze it according to other organizations within their market, or even look at it from a department level. So here we can see trending over time in the organizational insights, where experiences have improved. Maybe new technology has been added to the environment and it's impacted the digital experience. That's critical information to understand. Also break it out by departments. Different departments leverage different technology and different applications that can impact digital experience. So it's good to understand where those within different departments might be facing digital experience issues. And then for Ivanti to analyze data across our customer sets and provide our customers with insights into how they compare to similar companies, maybe similar size or similar industry, is valuable information for CIO to understand how they're doing across the landscape, maybe even with competitors within their organization. So this has been a very quick, high-level view of where we're headed with digital experience management and how we're looking to partner with our customers to provide and manage a better digital experience for employees everywhere.
Thank you. That was Darren Ghost, our VP for product management on that side. So yeah, I think it's pretty cool. You know, it's where we're seeing the future. We're already there with the neurons bots, which can help with the self-healing and the fixing of things. And I think one of the other areas, which just to finish off on, is that real focus on where service management shouldn't be in a silo. It shouldn't be there operating on its own. It needs to work with all the other parts of business, be it IT from a security perspective and an endpoint management perspective, but also in how can you support other lines of business in the organization with things like HR, facilities, legal, and so forth. And it's these key areas that we see, this whole integrated approach where you understand what's out in the environment, you're discovering it, therefore you can support it and be more secure. You can manage it, you can provide a better personalized ambient experience. Obviously, from a security perspective, save huge numbers of huge amount of dollars in managing risk against phishing and ransom, and importantly, from a service and responsive way of being the whole self-healing through automation. And it is a key thing is what we can do with Ivanti Neurons for ITSM is service everywhere workplace. And yeah, the future is bright, some may say, but that's really what I'm seeing, and I'd love to talk more with you all about it, and hopefully I'll be over in Sweden in the not too distant future where we can continue the discussion. Thank you very much. Only a couple of minutes over. Frederick, back over to you.
Yeah, thank you, Andrew. Really